Hello YouTube, and welcome to episodes 3 and 4 in the Kubikiri cycle reaction series. The aim is for 2 today. Very sorry for last week and not being able to do the 2 that I planned, but again, it is what it is, and we're chugging our way through the show, as much of it as there is, as quickly as we can, if that makes any sense, right? Sometimes it's nice to stop and smell the roses, though, and that's what we did last week, and I think we got a lot of extra analysis in that I probably would have skipped over had the circumstances been different. I don't think there's any particular housekeeping here because you guys won't really be affected by any of the Easter delay stuff. So anyway, comments, I guess. Let's jump in there. Got half a dozen or so comments here, which is a pretty good haul, I think. And yeah, we're just going to go through them here. First one with Gian Bueno. Another great reaction. Thank you. I thought last week's was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. I thought it came out pretty well. So I'm happy to see that some people liked it. That's good. And don't worry, all the characters there are adults. Both the main character and Kunigisa are 19 years old. The other characters are late 20s, early 30s. I mean, just because they say they're a certain age and the way they're designed is, I don't know, is Nisio Sin's track record with a certain 800-year-old vampire, whatever the hell, right? Or maybe she isn't even that old. Anyway, I forget. I think it's more interesting from the main character's perspective and his kind of opinions on Kunigisa as somebody that's potentially above him, and maybe that'll translate into something else. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's interesting from that perspective, regardless. Either way, next comment here from Chance Lewis. Honestly, Ichan is ironically the most complex character in the show, kind of mirroring his comment from last week. And yeah, I kind of get this as well. We're yet to see the previous comments promise of a complex character. Maybe they were being sarcastic the whole time. Maybe he's just basic, right? That's the word I would use to describe him right now. Easy to read, basic, and trying to come to terms with that in an environment that is increasingly against that perspective. I have some crack theories about him and his actions resulting in a certain person's death, actually. That I may get into a little bit, but again, that's a complete crack theory, and we don't like crack here, we don't support it. Next comment here from Muhammad, who just has another couple of emojis for us, which we enjoy. Glad to see you enjoying the content, I like that. Next comment here from Benjamin Lee. As much of a Monogatari fan that I think I am, I know nothing about anything beyond that, so I'm watching this completely blind with you. So far it seems intriguing, and I can't believe it took me a whole 2 episodes to realize Kubikiri is probably these kanji, and yeah, there's a little bit of Nisio Sin wordplay potentially, right? Which Hot Wheels Kid elaborates on a little bit in his reply here as well. There isn't any wacky wordplay in the title this time, as far as I know. But there is a precedent set with this title that the next 2 books follow, so I'm not privy to that. I don't really even want to look into it, but sure. There's some stuff going on with the subtitle though. Zaragoto Tsukai? Zukai? It's hard with a T and a Z. That's a new one. I know Su, I know Zu. It's a bit weird. Nonsense User, which has some magic user, a little bit of a, you know, potentially fantasy implication there. Magician Sorcerer, maybe? I don't know, some stuff to dive into for sure. And then, yeah, talking a little bit about the cycle here with Eben. Hot Wheels Kid continues in a comment of his own here. The character designs in Monogatari and Zaragoto anime were both done by Akio Watanabe, based on their original series art by Vofan and Take, respectively. This makes sense. That's why there's kind of that similar vibe between the two. It's a anime character artist taking inspiration from 2 different sources, but of course having his own artistic spin on it. That just makes sense. Oh yeah, and with this bottom part here, I'd like to see their original, it's a light novel, right? I'd like to see their original light novel character designs. That'd be cool. Just post that in the... As long as people agree it isn't spoilery, just post it in the normal chat, I think, if it's only those 2 characters that we've already seen designed. And last comment here with Eben, kind of following on from his reply earlier as well. Zaragoto had a bit of a resurgence in the last couple of years thanks to a group of people who decided that it was time to translate the rest of the series. On the other hand, the official translations took like 15 years to translate 3 out of 9 volumes, but even if that's pretty grim, maybe the soon-to-be-released 10th volume of Zaragoto will bring some interest back for a Volume 2 anime adaptation. Probably not by Shaft, you would be thinking, right? Considering their track record in recent years, unfortunately. But yeah, anecdotally, I saw a few of the novels fan-translated and stuff when I was searching up to try to find a copy of the show, so yeah, there is some groups doing that, and from the people in my Discord server, they seem to be pretty rapt about the book series, saying it's one of their favorites, so I back them in on that. I mean, Nisio Sin's a good writer. And yeah, I guess that's all the comments this week. Time to jump into a little bit of recap and maybe some predictions going forward. So I got my notes back up here, and from memory, we continued from here in episode 2. So episode 2 is characterized by the dinner scene, I believe, kind of followed by that kind of, I called it like kick-ons, you know, there's just like a group of people still having a drink, having a chat, you know, those deep and meaningful conversations you have at like 3 a.m. That's the kind of vibe I got from it, you know. There's a mention of a new character showing up at the end of the week. I don't know why you would mention this if the new character didn't show up, unless it's a future novel thing, I don't know. Dinner has clashes between Akane and Kanami, and we know what happens to Kanami by the end, so there's some implications there. Again, I'm pretty sure she's a red herring, but we'll get into it. As well as the main character and Maki, and Kunigisa trying to play, you know, like arbiter, trying to calm everybody down, making sure they have a good dinner. Maki, seemingly the talented one, has it really out for the one that has no natural talent at all and is a bit of a loser. So me thinks this is a dichotomy that will continue considering the themes of the rest of the show. Dinner ends, but Kunigisa wants some more food, so they go and have a chat with Maki, Shinya, and Terako. I think I was corrected on this in the Discord server and it was a different maid. Let me just check quickly. Yes, it was Hikari. Hikari, which is a different one of the maids, which I'll check in a second. Hikari is the middle one. Very cool. So a little correction there on the maids. Again, they're triplets, they're sisters. It's surely pretty difficult to tell them apart at certain moments. Maybe that'll come into a little bit of a mystery later on. Either way, they're chatting. They get into the theme of the haves versus have-nots versus talent versus reading minds and all that jazz, right? We'll get into that a little bit as well. But there's an earthquake. Question mark? Like, is it a real earthquake? Is it some kind of other thing that is posing as an earthquake and we need to figure it out? And yeah, on top of that, Maki's just reading the main character like a book the entire time. Even to the point where the main character is lying down in bed, admitting to himself that she got him completely correct and that maybe he's just basic. Either way, day 4 starts. It's all very eerie. There's many shots, you know, of empty rooms and that kind of thing. We drift over to that art studio. We look down and we see Ibuki Kanami's dead body. Well, I'm guessing that she's dead. She has no head, so that makes her dead, I believe. Continuing on with a few of the themes found in episode 2, main character continually faced with his own inadequacy versus these experts in their field, talent versus hard work. He can't get either to work for him to make him one of these elite few, you know what I mean? So we have Yayoi, who is like, oh, it took me a lot of hard work to get where I am. Also, I have immense natural talent that I'm kind of sandbagging a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's just on a conceptual level, not as good as the rest. Comparing like Maki's fortune reading on Kunigisa, which is almost impossible for her, considering her complexity, and then maybe the main character's basicness, coming to terms with his role in the story and all of that Nisio Sin nonsense. Then we get into beheading as a concept for mine, which is, you know, cutting off the part that is you, right? The smarts, the part you would read, the brain, you know? What is somebody's inherent talent in this arena, if not their brain, you know? Kind of linking it into almost Akane's hate of art and Kanami's now deceased hate of Akane as a person, right? You would cut off the head to make that happen. That's kind of what I'm thinking there. More to do with the actual mystery. Is this going to be a genuine whodunit for who killed her? One thing that I would say is there going to be more killings. Is it a serial killing? In something like a Danganronpa, there is a part of the structure that prevents serial killings. So, are we going to follow that? Are we going to be on our toes every single night? Is somebody going to die every single night? That's going to eliminate our suspects very, very quickly. Either way, Akane, red herring, or at least should be, unless they're doing something subversive there. And even then, I think that would be a mistake. I don't think that she should be the killer. Big sus on Sakaki Shinya for what he did with the phone and answering the phone and then saying she's fine after the earthquake. When did she die? She said some paint fell. There's some stuff going on there for sure. The maids are suspect just in general. You don't have triplet characters for no reason. You don't have Hanami Rei like kind of suspectly smile into the camera for no reason. So we're going to see about that stuff as well. And yeah, where is Ilya in all of this, right? Is she aware of the killings? Did she want these to happen? Is she distraught? Is she kind of excited? We're going to see, right? What was the falling out that she had with her family? What was that based on? Is this going to come into this at all? A few things to watch there. And yeah, with that said, I guess we should just dive into the episode proper. Not without the shill stuff though, as I always do. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation, comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you'd like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join Discord, love Discord, Discord. And yeah, jumping into episode 3 of Kubikiri Cycle right now. Rightio, got episode 3 up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen there. Just about 27 minutes, 26:59 on this one, so yeah, sync up accordingly. As always, picture-in-picture in the description below, and I forgot the name of the subs, but I'm using them because they're the only ones, so something like that. Either way, just gonna give it a 3, 2, 1. Radio, 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, paint on ground. There's always someone better, but for the best, it's all downhill. There's a pinnacle, and we have reached it. Something to that, right? That was a cool shot. And then the slow, like, to a stop, right? Alright, how is everybody reacting? That's what we want to see. Yep, one of the chairs knocked over. Who alerted who to the body's presence, too? That's always a Danganronpa classic. Yeah, kind of the pink is giving me that too, because you always have the pink blood, you know? Yeah. Okay, there's the picture as well. Interesting portrait. Interesting faces. Very interesting portrait. Foreboding, almost, right? We're gonna go bury her. Okay. Thanks, Kunagisa. What? You're right. Is that a clue? It is a clue. What? I agree. Surely we could have found something else, though. The paint is a clue. It absolutely is. If it's still wet, then somebody would need to walk through it to decapitate somebody, right? Unless the killing took place before the paint spilled. What, she's not alive? I was pretty sure that she was gone, yeah. Oh, this is getting me on my investigation shit. This opening was quite good from memory. I've kind of forgotten it. It's kind of the advantage of doing week to week is you just forget how good things are sometimes. It's always like starting to record. Why do I do this? This is annoying. All I want to do is sleep. As soon as I start recording, though, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually like doing this. That's why I'm doing this, right? You forget sometimes. It's a clever looking show, I find. Interested in you. Sakaki? That's it. Sakaki Shinya. You too. You interest me. What does that look? I got a brain like a jar with a fly in it. Day 4-1. Okay. I'm not going to elaborate on what I meant by that, by the way. Alright, what are we thinking? Well, there's one seat missing. Pretty classic stuff. I like Kunagisa's look there, that's kind of funny. Well, until you went to sleep. True. Yes, I remember. Are we going to be able to get a time of death? $1 a.m. Okay, then a bunch of people unaccounted for. Oh, that's very Danganronpa. Oh, he's very open with that. What was that reaction? Bro, I'm feeling some type of way about that. Oh. That was very Monogatari. You sure? Whatever you say. You sound like you're mad. Oh yeah, she can read your mind, by the way. So she probably heard that. What does this look? You guys share a room. That's a quick turnaround, too. I love the way this is edited, by the way. I think it's really cool. Okay. That all tracks. Yeah, you're red herring out of control. Oh yeah, okay. We'll believe you. Oh. Sure. I don't believe you. Yet another? I agree. Yes, indeed. Is there some kind of cycle? Oh. True. You guys seem very jovial about all this. A new case is a simple one. Do we? True. Okay. No. Yeah. Bro, that was some Danganronpa shit. Yeah, phone call. Phone call tech. Oh, this is full. Yeah, I'm gonna keep saying it. This is like when characters go, that's wrong, and then tells the main character to do something about it. It's the phone call. Phone call. Yeah, I'm all over it. I'm smarter than the dumb guy. Locked room mystery. And his alibi is rock solid, and so unless there's two people working in tandem for some reason. But with no touching of the paint. She didn't cut her own head off. It's an inconsistency, isn't it? Would the paint have dried? I guess not. It's pretty thick. It looked pretty high up with a hard. Yeah, it's outcropped as well. Weird to have locks on windows like that. Yeah? I mean, that's only natural, based on what you were saying. He could be in on it and lying. Lots of red with her too, which is just her color as well, so. I don't know. What now? Why are you trying to sneak away? Okay, sure. Where did Oh, okay. Just have a combo by themselves. Not really. What is it? What is it? What is it? Ah. Oh. It sure seems like it. Simply a separation. Okay, yeah. Kind of what I brought up before. No, there could be copycat killings. Ah. No police allowed. What's the outside world like? We really hate the authorities. Okay. I mean, they probably would. Yeah, I mean, we're all very smart, right? The most talented versus the least talented. Okay, whatever you say. She's very cordial in all of this. Hmm. Lock me in your room. Where will you sleep? Hopefully not in that room. I mean, they probably would have argued forever. No one's going to take a backward step in that room. Ah. Leg jump scare. I mean, your logic was relatively sound, but again, we'll see if there's another killing. Oh, you got a little bit of a spreadsheet out. She's just like me. What do you mean? I don't think she did it at all. Other than vibe. Yeah, there's vibe and process of elimination, which is not enough. Who's going to do the autopsy? Would somebody be able to give us a time of death there? Unless there's any other ways into the room. Or did they unlock it? I too type like that as well, like with your head back. Yeah, indeed. I like the visual here. I agree. The whole leg situation, right? Okay, sure. I don't. Again, crack theory. I think there's a metaphorical reason. I don't know about a logistical one. Like a small Kunagisa over here. Yeah, we hadn't heard about it though. It seems like something that would come up very quickly, especially with a character that can read minds. I wonder if she's clued into anything there, right? This is going to my cringe compilation. Yeah, well, was going on with you and that conversation with Ilya and your weird alibi that you were hesitant about and you look sus? Chef? Beheading? Knife? Think about it. Yeah. It's true. She's just trying to go home. That's true, yes. You just want it solved. You don't care who solves it, right? Interesting. Yeah, we didn't do the Danganronpa thing where we have somebody guarding the crime scene. Was anything moved? That's not inexpensive. Oh, that's kind of a reversal of something previous, right? Okay, we're crossing that bridge. You don't care. I guess the paint's dried by now. It's pretty evocative with the colors there. I like that. Yeah, that's another big clue. Just more meta wise. Weird. That's another good question that I probably should have thought of, right? Where's the head? I'd chuck it into the ocean, right? What about it? That's a very thick part, you're right. It's very thick down here, especially for huge men like me. I guess that wouldn't be applicable in Konami's case, but anyway. Interesting theory. Whoa. Jimmy Neutron Brain Blast or something? It's true, but he sounded very suspect when he said it. Not to be mean. Weird way to put that. Does that mean it's your job to look after Kunagisa? Pitcher. Can we fingerprint it or do anything like that? I do. I'm willing to say it. Okay. But I mean, that's just your word against mine. I mean, he would know, yeah, his master's voice. Okay. I think you are. I think there could be many reasons to kill her. What are you doing? I mean, it's an investigation. You should probably ask for permission when doing that so other people can maybe have a look and do all that kind of stuff, but sure. Under that tree? Same tree? Oh, it's nice to be outside. We haven't been outside in a while. Holding hands? Two cuties. Are we leading into the end of the episode, perhaps? Felt very quick, if we are. That good old, that good old watch, huh? Emotionally, it's the correct choice. For the investigation, probably not. I mean, yeah, you're right. We can't do that. Not for a week. Start to stink up the joint. Oh. I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess I did know that was a thing now that I'm thinking about it. Not based on what I read. Or is that like a 21 thing in Japan? Good old Zere Goto. Yeah, that was it. Okay. That was, I guess just introducing a bunch of the background to the case, that kind of thing. Making sure that there's some plot threads to follow going forward around who did it. We're getting genuinely into our whodunit investigative stuff, and I'm really, really enjoying that side of it. It's scratching that itch for sure of me, turning my brain on, reading different people, seeing what they think, thinking about things, ruling people out, not ruling other people out. That's really fun to me. So I'm happy that it's here. That's what I like. And we're back to this other ED as well, which is interesting as well. I thought we had something post-credit last week, so we'll stick around, of course. Yeah, one of them's like a main character ED, and then another one's like the Kunigisa ED, I guess. Nice. And yeah, jumping into a little bit of a reread on that one, I guess I would call it a looking up of notes. So just like any good detective, we have our notebook here that we're going to keep track of the mystery and all that kind of goings on and that kind of thing, right? Which is always a bit of fun. I like writing, so we're going to keep writing and that kind of thing. So again, very simple, just sequence of events stuff. We have some more theories and stuff down here. Gang talks it out in big dining room, decide to initially lock Akane into main character's room as she is seen as the one without an alibi and the most suspicious, I guess, emotionally. Kind of had it out for Konami, was the one without, again, an alibi through a kind of process of elimination there, which isn't always great, but, especially when some of the other alibis aren't exactly airtight, that we'll get into. They lock her in the main character's room simply because it's the only room that has a lock on the outside. And yeah, so it works kind of like a prison. It already kind of looked like a prison anyway, so we're going to run with it. The main character and Kunigisa separate to do some investigation of their own. Again, very broad. They do a lot of things in this segment. There's the conversation in the room. There's checking out the body. There's checking up with a couple of other characters as well, such as Yayoi briefly, as well as Sakaki Shinya towards the end. Yeah, Sakaki Shinya, investigating body, comes in, offers to bury the body. Again, if this was your typical actual police investigation fair, of course, you wouldn't be able to tamper with the body like that and remove it from the scene. But considering the police aren't going to get involved, because normally they would remove the corpse from the scene and do all that kind of stuff, the corpse is just going to stink it up. So I see this is necessary in the process, I guess. I guess everyone's had their chance to have a look. We end the episode walking back down from the tree where the body is buried, just talking a few things out and that kind of thing. Scroll down slightly, and we've got kind of beheading as a concept, just a little bit of expansion on that. So literally, it could be mistaken identity. They bring this up briefly before poo-pooing it for obvious reasons. That obvious reason being, unless Konami's been lying about being a paraplegic this whole time, she can't walk away. So it isn't a kind of imposter killing, I guess you would say, right? Where Konami's potentially killed somebody else and posed them there, and she's going to get away scot-free. She would need to grow legs that work. So that isn't a possibility. That is probably something we should have thought of first when thinking of a beheading killing. Mistaken identity, of course. So yeah, more to do with the actual mystery. This is where I go into a little bit more of my theory crafting and stuff. Why would Shinya be lying? So again, I'm big sus on this guy for what he did. Just the kind of camera angles and that kind of thing made it seem to me that he was lying about hearing Kanami's voice on the phone back then and there. So is he in cahoots with somebody else? Is there some kind of team up? Of course, it isn't. So Danganronpa, I know I'm talking about it a lot, but anyway, it's characterized by a lot of rules, right? It's hard to dispose of evidence. You can't touch crime scenes. There's people guarding crime scenes. You can't go on serial killings. You can't be, well, you can be in cahoots with somebody else. Only one person gets the benefits, though. So again, that is playing in a very rigid, structured system based on the premise of its fiction, right? In here we have a way more open case, and that makes things a little bit harder. There can be people working together with each other, of course. So I probably should highlight this as well. Hanami Rei, so we're big sussing Ilya's alibi, right? And Hanami Rei was involved in that. Me, Rei, and Yayoi were all together talking about food or something, and then Yayoi's like, she looked worried. I'm inferring that it's like, that's not what happened. So she knows something that the rest don't, potentially puts her in line to be a next person killed too, which is interesting as well, because you're the one person that would kind of talk out against our alibi. Again, she looks further nervous and unsure throughout the episode. It is definitely something that we need to watch. The locked room element to the mystery is another classic one for these kind of stories, the whodunits and the like. No evidence left on the floor, but according to Shinya, he talked with Kanami after the earthquake, so it couldn't have happened before. Something doesn't add up there. So Kanami can't die before Earthquake because of conversation with Shinya. She can't die after Earthquake because of paint on ground would have left markings plus locked room. So what gives? Clearly one person needs to be wrong here. There needs to be some extra elements at play. I genuinely can't think of how they got in or out. I genuinely can't think of a way they would have worked around the paint other than, I guess you could it's like a good 3 meters. They wouldn't put it in the show if the answer was simply, I'm really athletic and can jump 3 meters. That just doesn't make any sense to me. You wouldn't write fiction like that. So there's going to be something clever at play. They were playing around with the phone a lot too. One thing I want to keep up my crack theory that the main character actually did it. The painting is a bad omen. That's all I've got. There's no real evidence to show this. Of course, the show is from the perspective of this main character, so it'd be really weird if he was just like, I did it. Or even weird if he said, I didn't do it when he actually did do it, and we're the audience and we're listening to him. And Nisio Sin wrote it in the first person, so that kind of jazz. It would be weird. It would be a weird one. It would be a curveball. But overall, episode, what did I think of it? It's clearly transitional. It's hard to judge on its own, but I am in for the mystery. We're introducing a lot of the stuff that makes the mystery interesting, and that kind of bag, right? So we're into it from that perspective. I don't know how much I'm going to double back on all the little intricate details here. I'll just be kind of whatever catches my eye before moving into the next episode. I feel there's always someone better, but for the rest, it's all downhill. That's our first line here. This is pretty indicative of the entire show. What do you do once you get to the pinnacle? This was kind of even brought up in the opening kind of scenes of the show. I've got it written down in the Google Doc, so somebody must have said something about it. Yeah, this is clearly like a philosophy thing for these characters, right? The people at the top of their fields. What is next? You know? If you can prove that you're better than the rest of the people that are also at the top of their fields in a game of wits, potentially, then maybe that's what it is, right? But again, that's reading a little bit far into it. I think being a little bit too predictive. Just so I don't talk about it constantly, there's a ton of cool little production things this episode. I think our cuts are cool. I think our constant kind of movement is a neat touch in the dining room scene. Adds to the tension, people's eyes darting everywhere, analyzing everybody's moves. It kind of matched me in that moment, right, where I'm just a little bit tense. It's a little bit of a standoff. I think that works a lot. And yeah, we're still day 4. Seemingly we haven't done any weird timeline shenanigans yet. So maybe that was a pipe dream. Maybe I'm just sipping that Monogatari juice a little bit much. So the paint is most definitely evocative. I really enjoy it as kind of one of the ideas of the scene. We establish it very visually, very early as still wet. And that is, again, very important for the mystery to make sense, right? It can't be dry paint. Yeah, that painting there, huh? One of the first things we see as well. Definitely keeping an eye on it. The phone in that spot there. So the footsteps, any footsteps we find on the paint can't be kind of misconstrued as Konami's. Of course, there wouldn't be footsteps. She can't walk. That is a good reason why it can't be her footsteps as well. Okay. So, but there isn't even any footsteps, so I'm kind of babbling nonsense. Yeah, again, visually here, that would be pretty hard to clear without making any mark, right? Yeah, big old line through the paint, kind of sticking on the fingers there. Great visual stuff to give some tangibility to the crime scene and make us understand why footsteps would show on said paint. It just works. Small character note that's weird about Kunigisa, right? That coat meant a lot to her, right? She even mentioned as such in the previous episode, just kind of tosses it away, kind of talking to the fact that she's investigating a case that happened here a while ago, right? Is the case involving beheadings and that kind of thing? Because if I needed evidence for case beheading when old case was also beheading, I would sacrifice everything to get the answers that I want. It shows that she's a little bit fickle. She has a pretty set, level of importance for certain things, right? This case being the most important to her. They both sacrifice their coats here, which is a fun little touch too. He puts his coat over her head, kind of covering up the part where it's almost sawed through the delt almost, right? It's a pretty gnarly beheading, and of course he's confirmed here. I think this is what this look is, that yeah, she actually is dead. This is what we feared. Cool, yeah. As I was talking about before, I won't keep highlighting it. Lots of spinning, lots of weird angles, lots of cuts, lots of camera go this way, camera go this way, camera go up this way, camera go down this way, right? They're clearly using the 3D space at hand to create the idea that you're part of the table, you're looking around, you're trying to suss everybody out as well. It's definitely thrown the normal kind of motion of the scenes that we've been in on its head. I like Kunigisa's face in all of this, though. She seems done with it almost immediately. So let's go through our alibis. I kind of talked a little bit in our investigation segment, I guess I would call it, earlier. But the alibis are as follows. We have Kunigisa and the main character. They were together basically the whole time until the main character went to bed. We were with him. We have a pretty good knowledge that he wasn't the one that did something like this unless he's woken up in the night and then done something like this. But again, that's reading a little bit far into it. We have Maki and Shinya, who drank the night away together. Are we trusting the kind of alibi of a drunk person, right? But anyway, we don't really dive into that there. The triplets are all accounted for, so all the maids there, they're all accounted for. We have Ilya, Yayoi, and Hanami Rei were all accounted for. Big question mark on that one though, right? So let's do it. Let's do our count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 being Akane, the only one left and the one we're suspecting the most. So yeah, just so I'm not constantly pausing through that, that's a lot of what this kind of stuff is establishing. We're getting into our time stuff here a little bit though. The earthquake happened at around 1 o'clock, so early in the morning, right? Everybody's still up and about, supposedly. But yeah, we're still suspecting that earthquake pretty heavily in its actual validity, kind of tectonically, I guess. Is it a real earthquake? Yeah, this goes past very quickly. I have no alibi. He just says it. At least he's out and honest, though. Yeah, Shioma shuts him up, right, to get her alibi out of the way immediately, kind of making Yayoi a little bit suspect there, right? Like, very quick to say, last night I was in my room with Rei and Sashirono. Yeah, and then this look right here. That's not what happened, maybe. Yeah, what is happening here? What is happening? This is clearly what we're supposed to focus in on, right? This isn't hidden. This isn't subtext. This is text. That she has something to say about this. Yeah, Rei hasn't said a word yet. Touches her hair, just simply lets it pass. Again, you're probably in cahoots with Ilya, whatever that means. Fun note here is that he thinks to himself, how trustworthy is the testimony of a drunk, and then gets a kind of side-eye from Maki, because again, she can read his mind very, very easily. It's hard to read Shinya here. He's either conflicted about potentially being an accomplice, or if we're reading really far ahead, or he's conflicted that he wasn't responsible in his role and took care of her and instead partied the night away instead of protecting his master, essentially. There's lots of little things to make characters seem suspicious here, right? Ilya for sure was suspicious a little bit of Shinya. This was Hikari, right? What was this maid's name? Yeah, Hikari, right? She's looking in a weird direction. Why is she not looking her in the eye? Is she hiding something? Are the maids up to no good? So all of the maids' alibis are backing each other up. So yeah, again, only one person left. So again, red is her color, but is the phrase red herring as wide and far as Japan? Do they know about it? If so, the use of red here may be very clever. I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into that too hard. Again, it'd be a very boring story if the police come the next day and then lock her up because she was the only one without an alibi and the only one that did it. However, it would also undercut a lot of this smart person BS in the show and just talk to the most logical answer in the situation. But again, I think it's just a bad ending. I really don't think it's Akane. Somehow even more insulting of the dead, I do hate artists, but I don't even consider them worth killing. I wouldn't waste my time on it. Kind of leaving everyone in a bit of a stunned silence too, which is, again, kind of fun. Speaks to Akane's abrasive personality, maybe. This is interesting, though. Yet another death, or another death, right? This has happened before. The beheading has probably happened before as well. Why does this keep happening on this island? If it's a very similar case, we have to look at things that are similar between the two cases, which is Island and Ilya, right? Would have to have a look at that. Is this some kind of test? Some kind of wider thing? Is the island cursed Himina? Himina's very quick to come back. If anyone here is cursed, it would have been you, Ilya, right? Very, very ominous. Very, very, very ominous, right? Clearly she's up to no good between this and the Yayoi stuff. This is very, 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 very Danganronpa, right? So somebody makes an assertion that we can provably prove as false. The camera is rotating even like Danganronpa in kind of a circular manner. And then somebody kind of pipes up with that objection, right? That no, you're wrong. That I forget the Japanese translation there, but it's a fun one as well. Clearly we're in the shoes of the protagonist here because I immediately clued in. I was like, no, this is incorrect. I guess I should explain, right? Well, if the earthquake knocked over the paint and Ibuki's body was on the other side of the paint, then the killing would need to have taken place at the time where the paint wasn't there for the killer to get in and out. But again, that isn't taking into account the locked box part of it, and also Shinya's phone call. So we got to investigate all of these things. Yeah, that's it. Sore wa chigau yo. Sore wa chigau yo. Sore wa chigau yo. Yeah, that's definitely what they say in Danganronpa. Is that essentially just like objection? I guess. I also found it funny, right? Like a lot in Danganronpa. You get a character that asserts something, and then now play a character. You have to explain why what I said was correct, right? Which is it's kind of like the game, like they're playing the game for you and just like pointing you in the right direction. It gets a little bit long in the tooth, but they kind of veer away from that eventually. All this locked box mystery talk is making me think about if anybody that's played Danganronpa V3, there's an absolutely batshit locked room case in it, and yeah, that one was a trip. So I'm trying to think of all the solutions to these locked rooms in the past in those video games, seeing if they're cribbing a little bit here and seeing if it can give me a little bit of a clue in, but my brain's not working like that at the moment, so again, there's probably evidence that already tells you who the killer is. I'm just not privy to it. So, right. Why is the paint there? The paint is there because of Earthquake. We saw Earthquake move glass off of thing. It is justifiable to think that all that paint would have fallen off the shelf and spilled everywhere, right? But what if Sakaki Shinya was part of some kind of plan, lying about said phone call, and then kind of mentioned that paint spill, and then somebody did it before the paint spilled, and then spilled it after they left? That could be a theory, right? Like they're using the paint spill as a locked room to confuse everybody and get away with it. I don't think the window is the solution. We kind of see, if I can get the shot again. Hang on. Like here, right? The window is clearly outcropped. There's no way to climb up to it convincingly, unless you have some kind of superhuman abilities, which I don't think anybody has. And the window itself is also locked from the inside. I clearly don't think the window is involved. I guess the most clear logical jump we're making at the moment is that the earthquake caused the paint to fall, which is just an implication. We have no evidence for that yet, right? And of course, we're not going to get any. Then we get to mentioning the police. No police. We hate police. We don't want police involved. Police would go for a simple answer like you getting locked up. Don't really have much to say about this other than Ilya really wants to keep this separate from anybody else and really judge the minds of the people in the room to solve whatever mystery it is. And then, of course, we have to link it somehow into the rest of the themes of the show up to now, which is all about kind of the haves versus the have-nots, the talents in this versus the hard works in this, that kind of vibe. How is that going to link into our solution and eventual moral of our story in solving said case? It's hard to say. But something to keep in mind that the story as a meta element of the piece of fiction needs to have a point as well. So we can't simply logic it out. There needs to be a point to the logic emotionally. Either way, we want to get out of this conversation. We think it's going to go around in circles for way too long. We suggest the Akane room thing I talked about before. The theory to locking her away, of course, is that if she was to go on a serial killing, then maybe she would, right? She would kill another, and then maybe kill another, and kill another until they're all dead, and she could have the island for herself. I think that's a very basic way to look at this, and probably won't come to fruition. But either way, if we think that she's the prime suspect, and we lock her away until at least, what's the bloke's name? Kaido, whatever his name is. The bloke that's coming in from outside, he'll definitely know the solution. We're definitely, building up to a matchup between him and the main character, right? That's something that is definitely coming. The person that is the most talented versus the person that is the most basic. But of course, this theory has holes in it. Akane may seem like the obvious suspect now, but locking her away and then seeing another killing, well, that means it isn't her, but what if there's copycat killers, right? Somebody that is working in Akane's interests and wants to get her off, and the best way to prove her innocent would be to stage such a thing, right? They're not taking that into account. It's not exactly airtight, but I don't think the show's going to go that direction anyway. Yeah, okay, this is definitely a thing. We're kind of pitting the main character in a race against time to finish the mystery in time for this other character to come and solve it instantly, right? Because he is that naturally talented. Aikawa is his name. I don't know what I called him before, but Aikawa. Cool, and we're finally out of that scene, out of that table scene. Took about a good chunk of the episode, more than half. And we have these two hanging out. They're going to try and solve the mystery. They go into their little investigative mode, I guess. I don't know where our main character sleeps now, though. That's definitely something to follow. I guess the other side of it, the other person that doesn't have an alibi after this point, right, would be Yaku Nagisa. That would definitely be a kick in the guts that she's the killer. I'm not ruling it out because, again, she doesn't have an alibi after they separate the same way our main character does. I can't see any other evidence as to why this would be the case so far. So I guess maybe if I guess everybody, I can't be wrong. I really don't think it's her, though. At the very least, Kunagisa doesn't think Akane did it. It's simply process of elimination, and that's almost never a good way to choose things, right? We haven't even done an autopsy on the body. Maybe then we can get a coroner or an actual, like, legitimate call on when her time of death is. That would open up a lot of doors of investigation. We'll get into talking about beheading as a concept in these kind of pieces of fiction. Normally that'd be a replacement type dealie, as I explained before. These three triplets, very similar looking. It'd be a real trouble if one of them was killed. It would kind of set off red flags for a weird replacement plot, right? We get a small moment where Kunagisa says that she trusts the main character. She really, truly doesn't believe that he did it. So why was Konami the one that was killed? Do we have a motive there? We definitely have a motive with Akane. Did any of these characters previously know each other before the events on the island? Is that something we need to look into? What has happened in those first 2 days on the island to create interpersonal relationships between people? Was she merely picked as a victim of opportunity because she has no legs? Or doesn't have no legs, but doesn't have legs that work? You know what I mean, right? It would be easier to kill the cripple than, like, Sakaki Shinya, you would think, right? And then, yeah, she takes a lot of photos. It's very cute. I like it as an idea. I think it's pretty endearing for Kunagisa as a character. Yeah, and then we jump into a little bit more stuff with Yayoi. She is walking away from the crime scene. It's a little bit of paint on her thing there, or was it something else, just a part of the design of the shirt? It's hard to say. Was she hiding stuff? Was she trying to build upon things? Was she investigating on her own, knowing that some things may not be the way she thought they were? There's lots of stuff to look at there. Yeah, again, faces all over this thing, right? Like, what does this look say? I don't know. It's almost like sad. It's almost like mourning, you know. But there's a little smile there. It's like what was done had to be done. We're watching this. We're watching you like a hawk. Is everybody just going to leave at the next opportunity, right? Are we going to get people running away from the island? No police involved? When is the next time people can actually run away? It's a weird one for sure. The main character comments that Yayoi seems depressed. Downright melancholy is what we call it. I don't know if I would call it that. I guess she was kind of forlorn and stuff, but there was a little accepting smile to it too. Weird one. We get another good look at this image. It's quite a good piece of art, I must say, right? She definitely backed up her skill. Clearly within the universe of the art style, this would be photorealistic, but yeah, the eyes are the focal point, I would say. He looks sinister. Very, very sinister. Is it ominous? Is it an omen of some actual implication there? It's hard to say. Hard to say without any evidence for sure. Something is bugging the main character about the painting, though. We take a picture of it. Is there some piece of evidence on it that I haven't realized yet? Potentially, and most probably. What did the killer do with the head? Well, there's lots of ways to dispose of it, right? We even dispose of the body itself later on by burying it. If it was me, I'd just chuck it into the ocean. Why not? You have the window right there. Where again, in a more structured killing game, like a Danganronpa, there is specific stuff about destroying evidence and moving stuff from the scene, and there's like red tape to follow to get certain things to happen. It again gives it more structure. This one way more open as a result. The next question is, why did they cut the neck off here? Why didn't they go for the much thinner part a little bit further up? I don't know. I really don't. Something in that to effort and hard work, or is that just me absolutely grasping at straws? It's hard to say. So nothing wrong with the phone. We can't talk to a weird phone type situation where Sakaki Shinya may have been thinking he was talking to somebody else, but he wasn't. Konami said the paint fell over, she was working, and he shouldn't interrupt her when he received that phone call. Again, that phone call is increasingly seeming fraudulent. I don't really get this part. Are they implying that the phone was in another position and has now since been moved closer to the subject? Is that what they're implying? That's a bit of a weird one. Sakaki Shinya swears that he heard her voice as he approaches the scene, kind of with a kind of, I guess you'd call it a blanket in tow, as he's going to use it to give Konami a proper burial.
So we take Konami's body, we bury her at the base of the tree. I'm guessing it's the same tree from the first episode that she was sitting at. As the sun kind of sets on the day, we walk back down, kind of discussing what we have found out through our time here today. The watch keeps getting a lot of focus. The watch is a part of the picture the painting that was painted in the room there as well. We got a good establishing shot of it there as well, just reminding us that it exists. Is it a symbol of the kind of relationship between him and Kunigisa, or is it something else? Should we focus on it more? Hard to say. And yeah, I think that's the end of the episode for this week as we move into our ED here. All in all, chock full of information. I hope I've broken it down into some theories pretty well. I think that some people are lying. I think that some people are being coerced a little bit, such as a Yuyoi. I don't think all the cards are on the table yet. I wonder if there will be another murder. That would definitely throw things for a loop. Even before solving this one, are we going to use an accumulation of evidence over multiple cases to get to our objective, or is it just simply going to be one? We will need to see. Either way, onward and upward with episode 4 right now. Radio have episode 4 of the Kubikiri cycle up here ready to go. Let me pop that up on screen there. 28 minutes and 56 seconds, bit of a longer one. And yeah, sync up accordingly on your versions or picture-in-picture, as I'm sure you know already. Just going to give it a 3, 2, 1. Radio? 3, 2, 1, go. Disk drive? What were you trying to do? What is it? Was she on to some like camera data shit? Okay, this is interesting visually. Oh, on the net. I see. Master hacker. Remote access to machine. Chi-kun? Oh. Okay. Is Chi-kun a robot or a human? Interesting. Okay, we have to establish motive. That's very important here. Okay. A weird thought for sure is that after this episode I'm gonna be like half done. It's a weird one. Feels like I'm only barely scratching the surface here. Yeah, cut them heads off. We don't need them. This is giving me like Fruits Basket vibes. I don't know why. That's a really weird pull. I wish I watched Fruits Basket on the channel. That would have been fun. Oh well. It happened already. I watched it. It was very good. The .14 tragedy. I didn't grab the name of the previous episode too. Maybe I should go back and have a look. Hello, Ilium. Honda Ray seems to stick around with you a lot. Okay. You have your backup in tow. Yes, you were, according to your alibi. Okay. Whatever you say. Why are you undressing so much? Alright, she's not a prude. Okay. Well, we've already assumed that she's the killer. Because there's some more smart stuff at foot. I mean, it is. But we've never cared about that, right? Oh, she's still going? Okay. Pop off. Okay, now adding clothes. We like that. British authorities. They don't. Oh. Getting very comfortable. I would shower, but sure. You sure? I feel that too. Because I'm going to bed. You're boring me. You're boring. Okay. Is that the first line we've heard from her? I think it is. Potentially. Okay. I mean, she's still just her, right? She's going to say what she thinks. Yeah, she loves him even, right? Oh, she wants to put her faith in him. All right. Thank you for your service. I agree. Almost like she was putting on some kind of guise. Red flags all over the place with her. Oh, what does that look? Oh, you're in the room with Kunagisa. Hey, what do you have to say about things, Smarky? Headbutt? Why? What? That was shot kind of mad. Is that like get out of my room type energy? Or get out of her room? What is going on? Good point, actually. Good point. Kind of like a Shinya, right? Leaving your master alone. Shonen. She's growing on. That was actually quite funny. She's growing on me. Get sunned. Absolutely sunned. The maids are no good. What's this, like a sushi bar in the middle? Oh, that's broad. Furtive activities. Okay, that's good. Alright. Yeah, you can read people's minds, right? And then asking for money for that. She can read you. She'll give you a look here. Yep. Protective custody. I like all the bears. That's fun too. Oh, a little bit of extra. Some for later. Can you just stop speaking in riddles and tell us something? I'll pay you. Well, that I was in the previous episode too. Those two were very quiet. What do you mean? What do you mean? Is the watch on the wrong hand? Or something like that? Yeah, it is, now that I think about it. Is it? Anyway, I'm sure they'll talk about it. Oh, I guess she's drowning. She should clean more often. How can you, like, hate showering? No, I think she's here for some other reason. Okay, Hikari, what do you have to say? Yeah. I think it's pretty. Well, you leave her with Kunigisa dies. She's either neglected her duties and needs like a really rock solid alibi, or she just did it. I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, say the line. Alright, where are we going? Why did we leave her alone? Oh. Oh, this is his room. Or the outside of which. This is very pretty. Kind of the light reflecting through. Isn't it nighttime? Anyway. Probably, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for thanking me. I think that it needs a solution. Post hoc fallacy. I mean, she is pretty switched on. Well, it's probably assured her safety as well. Okay. Oh. Ha ha ha. Not at all. Oh. That's good. Interesting. I can think of times where I'd let somebody kill me. That's very philosophical, though. Life and ego and all that kind of stuff, right? Oh, yeah, I remember that from episode 2. Okay. Not really. It's kind of average, you know. I agree. I don't know. Oh, so not romantic? I mean, I could have inferred that from his previous actions. Couldn't you guess he loves you? What kind of love? What makes you you to her? Well, interesting. I'd love to see the choice of words there in the Japanese. Hmm. Especially men. She's reading you like a book. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, nothing wrong with that either. I don't read that. Yeah. Huh. Like there's just a light in the door too. We don't see her at all. Oh yeah, like pi, like 0.14, right? Hmm. Fuck. I'm gonna need to talk about this a lot. This is way more in line with like some of the Monogatari philosophy stuff. I wonder how much of this is legitimate. How much of it is Akane actually on that other side of the door? Because it's a very self-reflective moment, you know. Oh, well, okay. There goes my theory as well because she's clearly alive and actually talking. But we also just went out that window and huge red flags for her death, right? You did wash your hair. It is noticeably brighter, I think, as well. What is the trick? Can you guys elaborate, please? That's like some Chuny shit. Yeah, put him in his place. I'm with her. Just tell me. Okay, whatever you say. Sure. Well, this is fancy. Is this what you did with all your photos? I'm with you. This is a lot of what I was talking about. I agree. Or not before the earthquake, but yeah. The earthquake didn't knock over the paint. That's mine. Oh, I kind of see what we're doing. I think I may be right. Yeah. That isn't cause and effect, baby. Yeah. Correlation, not causation. All that jazz. I'm smart? Bro, I can solve baby's first mystery. Well, unless it like flung across the room, right? You wouldn't get that spread. That kind of spray of paint. Bro, it's nice to feel smart sometimes. It doesn't happen a lot for me. But she's still a suspect. I have a feeling Akane's gonna die. Like very soon. And you're not. Where'd you spread it with one of the maids though? Okay, what is the question for Hikari? She's giving me a lot of Hanakawa. You mean just in general? Based on the family stuff? Based on her past? Oh, that's a little bit demented. But you clearly know. Because you did some research into previous relations and that, right? So you clearly want to know for a reason. I think that already gave you a lot of information, though. Her reaction. Oh, red. Ah. Okay. Thank you, Chi-kun. Okay. Oh, now we're going to find out. Okay. Why? I thought they hated each other. 6 months ago. I agree. Dunno. Oh. What am I looking at? Man, I'm dead. Oh, you're just sleeping on the couch. Is she going to try to invite you into bed? Yeah. Ooh, a little bit colder that time. No, I'm not worthy. That's touching. No. He's going to keep saying no. What? This feels out of character. Okay. Huh. There's enough room. There's plenty of room in there. Oh, sound asleep. I'm guessing you're not. Yep. This is probably very weird for you. Ooh, bit of flashback stuff, maybe. I love the background. That's very cool. Ooh, just kind of letting it sit there. That was cool. Well, she kind of initiated that. I don't think she meant, like, sleep next to her. I think she meant sleep with her. Oh. Oh. Really? That's unexpected. No point to what? Anything? I don't know. We're going to have a talk about that conversation before, like a lot. ED? ED. And it's that Kunagisa drip ED. Very, 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 very interesting episode. I think the stuff with Akane is going to be very, very important for the overall message of what we're trying to say with this first part of whatever story we're trying to tell, right? I just get the feeling. I feel it in my bones. It feels very broad in a way that Nishio Sin likes to do. A bit of his... I don't know what his background in studying philosophy is, but he clearly has an enjoyment for it and likes to put it into a lot of his work. And yeah. I felt genuinely smart this episode when I figured out something that, again, should have been pretty obvious to most people that were thinking it through like I am. That, yeah, correlation, not causation. Just because earthquake happened doesn't mean earthquake knock over thing and make painting river, right? It's a trick of the mind. It makes you think that just because it's logical. But in saying that, Well, okay, they imply that there was a small spill that was turned into a larger spill, right? But how would they know that a paint spill was a key element of the scene if they weren't privy to the phone call? I guess they could have seen it as they walked in and just used it. Weird one. And yeah, I think what I've decided to do is continue this recording tomorrow, just because it's like 6:30 right now, and I really could use something to eat. And I've been up and active since like 5 a.m. So I'm getting a little bit tired, and I want to give, especially that Akane stuff, the right frame of mind for analysis and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're going to leave it for tomorrow. Tomorrow I work a very, very long shift, so it'll happen at the end of that. But I should have a good sleep in the meantime, sleep on my thoughts and all that kind of thing. And yeah, it was a good episode. Look forward to watching it all again tomorrow. Rightio, so we're back. It's the next day, and we're going to have a little bit of a look. I've written some stuff here, and yeah, these are kind of the recappy stuff in the episode. Episode 4 goes kind of hard. It's got a lot of stuff in it, a lot of stuff that I kind of forgot last night, and then kind of scrolling through it again today. Yeah, there's quite a bit of content there. So either way, I'll jump into it here. I haven't really written down any of the themes stuff yet, but know that I will pen something regarding the main character in Kunigisa, as well as that conversation with Akane. Those are seemingly very important within kind of the themes we've established already, the kind of inferiority complex, as well as like, why is he hanging out with Kunigisa? Why is Kunigisa hanging out with him? Why are they connected there? They've potentially had a relationship in the past that was a little bit stronger and a little bit more romantic than previously thought. I don't know. We're teasing a lot of stuff there. It's clearly important for what we're trying to say, especially with this kind of looming Aikawa figure that is going to show up and fix everything, kind of the exact opposite of the main character in that regard, I think. Either way, I'll have a read here. Kunigisa gets her computer whiz on and looks for any previous connections between the characters on the island in an attempt to establish motive. At the end of the episode, this comes to fruition. We do see a connection, but I'll get there. The main character has a short conversation with Ilya, but she dodges a lot of the questions and goes to bed. She also undresses a lot, which was something as well. Hanami Rei has a small conversation with the main character on the journey back. Maki is in the room with Kunigisa when we get back, demonstrating to the main character that he should potentially be a little bit more careful with her. If he cares about her, killers could just like walk in and do something if he leaves her alone like that. Dinner that night, we notice that Akari and Terako have gone to the mainland to contact Aikawa. So Aikawa's a little bit of a sore subject there. They're kind of really cagey about what he does for a living and that kind of thing. Like, why do they need to send 2 people to contact him? It's a bit weird. Either way, Maki is just being a bad bitch during dinner. Like, just kind of... Because she can read minds, right? She kind of has a better idea of what's going on than anybody else. I don't know why we haven't tapped into that yet. Maybe we will eventually. I guess she kind of has it out for the main character, so that may not be a great idea. We noticed something with the painting. I had another look there before, and I think... Okay, so the whole thing with Kanami and her painting style is that she just looks at a subject for a while, and then goes off and makes the piece of art, right? So... why does he have the watch on? He didn't have the watch on at that part of the scene because he puts the watch back on at the end of that episode. So why does he have the watch? Something to watch, maybe. Pardon the pun. The main character has his chat with Akane down in the hole. I guess I'm going to call it a hole. It's kind of where he was sleeping. It's like this really weird place. I don't know, it's hard to describe. And yeah, I'll get into that a little bit more in the moment. We talk Hikari and subsequently the audience through the locked room mystery, part of which I'd already kind of figured out because there was that little logical fallacy there from memory. We've got some questions of our own for Hikari, and she refuses to answer, which I think tells us a lot already about the answers to said questions, right? The computer gets back to us, telling us of a previous meeting between Akane and Kanami. So this could be important in motive stuff, in overall mystery of the island stuff, in that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know why this is a little bit scary. They met at a cafe in Chicago, apparently. I think that's what it said. The main character then sleeps in the same bed as Kunigisa, and it's revealed that they've shared a bed in the past. And I'll need to reread the dialogue, but I think it implied that they've, slept together, right? And then there's no amount of romantic equalness in that relationship now. Even though she clearly likes him, he doesn't have kind of that self-confidence level to it, I think. I think that's what we're getting to, but we'll see. As I said before, we'll talk about themes a little bit later on. More to do with the actual mystery. So Ilya is just bigger and bigger sus. Like, why is she avoiding questions? Why is she really cagey about what the island is about, what the previous cases have been about, what the Aikawa bloke actually does, right? Like, she's just acting weird, and the maids are definitely kind of in on it in that regard, I think. So yeah, we solved this locked room part of the mystery a little bit. It's a logical fallacy that kind of cause and effect of the same thing. They use it with a coin toss, right? If I flip and I say it'll be heads and it's heads, it doesn't mean I'm psychic. It means that the two things weren't linked and I got kind of lucky. So the idea being that somebody saw a little bit of paint knocked over after killing Kaname and then knocked more paint over to make a bigger scene, to make it seem like it's a locked room, to make them seem innocent. And yeah, as I've said here, also the previous meeting stuff. And yeah, I guess I'll just jump into the episode now. It's getting pretty interesting, I'll say, right? The mystery is building upon itself quite nicely. I thought it was a little bit simple to start, but there's actually a lot going on here. And I guess we'll leave it to the end to kind of give our thoughts on the overall theming and kind of point of the show as a piece of fiction, right? What are we trying to say about the main character? Is it meant to be self-inserty? Is there going to be some amount of philosophy there that's going to make me feel better about my life, or worse? We're going to see. What were you trying to do? Is the first line of this episode here. As we've kind of haunched ourselves inside almost like a disk drive, right? This is the show that we're booting up the computer. We're going to check with Chi-kun about previous connections between the characters. It's a pretty clever way to introduce the scene, I think, right? Yeah, continuing our strong visual start of the episode, just like lots of different representations of the characters and that kind of it was almost look like sweat or moisture in the air that we pass through as well. Yeah, they're getting their shaft on. It's good. So it's still unclear, but I'm imagining Chi-kun is some kind of AI, some kind of robot. I'm going to check in with Chi-kun, and Chi-kun will tell me something, right? Chi-kun is very smart. Chi-kun on my machine at home, me remote access machine. This episode is called the .14 Tragedy, which is about pi, and we'll get into that. That's that whole Akane conversation. So in this scene, we go and have a chat with Ilya. She's going to not tell us anything and undress a lot, so buckle in, I guess. She does have a justifiable case here, right? That according to her alibi, she was up all night, so she would be quite tired at, I'm guessing, about mid-afternoon the next day. That just tracks. She continues to say that the police won't work, they'll just blame Akane. She's the logical assumption there of who is kind of responsible for this, I guess. And yeah, the people on this island are important. I refuse to allow them to be accessed by the brutish authorities, apparently. No matter who the killer is, I'm not going to give them over to the authorities. Geniuses are on a higher level than justice. Interesting idea there, Ilya? Okay. The main character kind of puts a spotlight on some stuff. I have a feeling that you just don't want to contact the authorities for other reasons, potentially nefarious. You don't want to get outsider eyes on this place, right? Previous cases, another beheading, right? So she goes to bed, and then Hanami Ray is here to walk us back to our room. Please don't take anything she says to heart. So don't believe her about that lack of authority thing and all that stuff. No. It's just that she really likes Aikawa and really wants Aikawa involved. We'll see. I think you're doing a bit of damage control right now, Hanami Ray. Yeah, this screams damage control to me. This doesn't seem like the character that Hanami Ray has been built up to this point. She was very, very professional here. Yeah, I don't buy it. One nice touch that I've just noticed looking at the staircase is that, yeah, it's one part of it is kind of wheelchair accessible, which is nice. It's not relevant anymore, unfortunately, but it was previously. So yeah, shoutouts to the designer of this mansion. We make our way back to the room and we see that Maki's just kind of hanging out, which is pretty funny. She also gives him a headbutt here, right? There's like a mad shot here, like POV, like turn and headbutt. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, you left Kunigisa alone. If you value Kunigisa, why'd you do that? The killer could have just came in and killed her. She brings up a good point, and she's being genuinely kind of funny here. It was plus rep definitely for Maki here. She's growing. She's growing on me for sure. I do enjoy these characters that are outwardly a little bit standoffish and aggressive, but have their fun sides as well. I like that. Like just absolutely demeaning shonen, and then their hand on the shoulder. Love it. It's so very petty. It's so good. So as I've explained before, there's some suspect missing maids that are going to see Aikawa on the mainland. Can't you just call or email him? He's hard to contact. What does he do? Consulting. This is suspect. Very, very suspect. I do like the visual here of the bears representing the missing people at the table. I think it's a really nice touch, something pretty creative. Just kind of like a creative visual representation for the characters. There's little aspects of their character designs on the bears. It's just good. It's good stuff. Yeah, him and Amaki's just kind of deranged, right? Won't you tell us what happened? It'll cost you. And then, as she's eating food for free at this island mansion for free, pay me more and I'll use my power that I can freely use to... Yeah, she's kind of a bitch, but it's funny. And of course, this is a predictable pattern as well. The main character gets thinking the same things we're thinking, and then she reads their mind. Ilias says that she'd be happy to pay, and then Maki simply says, it'll be over soon, but pay no attention to it. It has nothing to do with the point of anything. What? Okay, that's definitely cryptic for for somebody that can supposedly just tell the future and read minds and do all sorts of other stuff, right? Yeah, weird stuff. Because she has all the answers. There's multiple characters that supposedly have all the answers. Like Akane already had solved the locked room part of it. Is this part of the structure of the show, maybe? That even... So us, the layman, going through the mystery step by step, solving it, like somebody would, like a detective would. These geniuses are at such a high level above us and the main character both that they've already solved aspects of it and we're just left to pick up the crumbs and they're not giving us anything. Is that something to that as well? That would be a cool technique. I actually kind of like that for a mystery novel structure. Definitely emphasizes the themes of the show. Yep, so we're having another look at the painting. I think Kunigisa took a picture of it. And yeah, I think it's the watch. We're focusing on the watch. The watch is center frame. The watch is a different color. The eyes are also a different color, but then's the breaks. You can't really change your eye color. So yeah, I'm thinking that the watch change means something. The maid Hikari then shows up, asking after Tomo. Tomo is in the bath. We've bound her by her hands and legs and tossed her in the bath because she needs a bath because she's stinking up the joint. Kind of like a cat. That's what we're invoking a lot with some of her mannerisms and in character, right? So after we learn this, we tell Hikari about the bath situation and all that jazz. Hey Hikari, can you stay here and watch Kunigisa while I go and do something? Taking on that lesson from Maki, Maki said if you really care about her, you would do something like this. So clearly... he does something like this, right? This will come back into play when we start talking about their previous relationship and that kind of bag, right? Like, clearly he does care on some level about her well-being, even if it's not a romantic love. It may be a jealousy. It may be something more complex than that. Again, we're diving in, right? We're learning as we go. There's another weird part here, right? The main character's like, I trust you, Hikari, right? I thought the whole point is that if you left somebody to watch... and then she ended up dead, and the person that was left to watch had nothing else to say about the thing, right? Then it would be pretty obvious that they did it, so it'd be a bad crime for them to do it. It's putting them in a situation where, well, they can't really do anything, or they would be number one suspect. Either way, maybe he's just saying that he trusts her so that she knows that and feels some kind of obligation there. It's a tough one, right? This is weird. So Maki, I wouldn't give this kind of treatment to, but you, Hikari, I know that you're not the killer. I trust you. I'm going to leave you with her. And so far, this has been fine. But again, that's the same kind of logical leap that we've had before, where just because it's fine this time doesn't mean it'll be fine every time after that. Either way, I'm pretty sure Hikari is not the killer, so we don't have anything to worry about there. Like, it just, timeline-wise, wouldn't make much sense to me. Then we get into a little bit of philosophy about trust, right? Question, what does trust mean? So the main character is kind of catching himself here. He's like, why did I say that? Do I really trust her? What does trust mean? You don't mind being betrayed. You won't regret it when you are. You would think, well, under the current circumstances, even if I was betrayed, I couldn't have seen it coming based on my trust level. I had no reason to suspect them, so, well, if they got me, they got me, right? Very mature way to look at it, and something I probably agree with upon reflection. Cool, so now we go to the magic door downstairs where Akane is. It's a very evocative space. Lots of different coloured lights, stained glass, fun little lanterns and stuff. It's almost fantasy-esque, with one shining light through the door. At one point in this conversation, I thought that, hey, maybe the twist will be that Akane wasn't even actually on the other side and it was him just thinking through some things himself. That doesn't come to fruition and talks a little bit more about Akane as a result, about her skill level, about her philosophy level, about all these other things, right? How much she'd thought ahead in all of this. So they're setting up right now. I'll get this out of the way now. Akane has figured out the locked room aspect, figured out that she's the most likely suspect, and if she is detained, it'll prevent more people from getting killed, because they'll think that, oh yeah, this is all sewn up, we just need to wait for old mate to get here, and then everything will be hunky-dory, right? She, right now, is the most obvious suspect, so if she's there, I don't need to kill any more people. Like, the killer will think that they've gotten away with it, thus don't need to kill again. There was some implications, though, that Akane would be the next to die, which would be a very interesting killing considering this information. Anyway, that's just me reading ahead a little bit. Akane is very quick to have figured out the locked room part of the mystery here. So first she queries the main character, have you figured out the killer? He says, I haven't figured him out yet. And then she's like, I like that. What about the locked room? Well, I don't really know. Well, it's a post hoc fallacy. We go into it a little bit later. I'll explain it there. The causation doesn't equal correlation. That's essentially what we're getting at there, though. Like, blaming a rooster for the sunrise, same as blaming the kind of assertion that the coin will flip a certain way as evidence of some kind of supernatural power. She already figured it out. She let herself get locked up to prevent anything else from happening. She is really impressive. Not like you. You're not very impressive at all. Again, Akane makes it clear that she does not know the killer. She is merely going to wait for Aikawa to show up, Ilya's favorite, and solve this thing. She knows that she isn't the killer, so this will be fine. It also isn't her field of expertise to figure out these mysteries. She's only read a few novels for fun. Yeah, and then we jump into a little bit of philosophy, I think, right? Let me get a name on this again, right? Yeah. Mushanokoji Sanatsu. I probably butchered that, but sure. I'm imagining this is something a little more relevant to a Japanese audience that would immediately recognize this. Shinru Sensei, the teacher of truth. Anyway, early in the book, the teacher of truth talks about why it's bad to kill people. And this is relevant to where we are right now, so let's have a little bit of a read. Would you ever agree to let someone kill you? What conditions would make your murder acceptable? Please tell me. Well, okay, put it this way. I thought about this in the moment. I think it'd be acceptable right now if I needed to be murdered to save the world, right? Essentially, save everybody I've ever loved and make sure that nothing bad happens to them and some great disaster doesn't happen, right? I'd probably let that happen. I mean, it's easier to say for me right now, not in that situation. Would my ego get the better of me? Would my kind of personal want to live, life's essence of wanting to proliferate, right? That kind of thing, right? Like, life in itself wants to continue living. Would that kick in somewhat? It's an interesting question. It's very philosophical, gets the brain moving. But I would like to think that, yeah, my murder would be acceptable in some cases. Either way, the second half of it goes as follows. If you would never consent to your murder, then surely it's never permissible to kill another. The main character is also weird here. It's like, oh yeah, I've just read a few extracts, and then he quotes it perfectly, so that's a little bit weird. So asking the main character this question is definitely in relation to Kunagisa, right? Would you like lay your life on the line for somebody like a Kunagisa, that kind of relationship that you two have? He doesn't want to tackle the part of the question. So initially he just says no, right? But then when brought up with Kunagisa, he doesn't want to answer that question. And then, yeah, Kane reads him a little bit. You despise having to choose. That's just the way you are. You do not accept that you have to make a choice. There's no protagonist energy, drive the plot energy to him yet, right? He's just kind of going with the flow. That's kind of in the writing as well. That's pretty clever. I like that. That's very Nishio Sin. Very, very, very much so. Kind of very aware of a protagonist's role in a story and then particularly subverting it a little bit and making like the protagonist a little bit of a wimp, even down to the writing level. Yeah, in that same way, him and Amaki's words come back. Again, you just let yourself drift. As I've said, he doesn't deny it, but he won't admit it as well. That's it. Again, sitting on the fence, unable to kind of make the choice in that conversation to confirm or deny. Same question again here. Do you hate people? Well, not really. Do you like people? Well, that's certainly not true. Again, sitting on the fence. Yeah, it's just turning into like pick on the main character philosophy hour, right? You prefer to be alone. Yeah, I'm my oldest friend. I prefer my own company, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you are your own best friend, what does that make Kunigisa? Add up your time together and you've not known each other long. Less than a year, right? In collective time togetherness, right? Rather than you've been with yourself for your entire life. And then in that context, in the question of giving up your life or Kunigisa's, well, what's more important there? Who's your bestest friend? And then we bring up a lot of the subtext here. Is this a romantic relationship? Do you love her? Gets this look, right? No, nothing like that. Again, unable to confirm anything, sitting on the fence a little bit. But Kunigisa loves you, I'm sure of that. She definitely does act very bubbly and affectionate towards him. So, again, we'll say that there's clearly something has happened in the past to cause this relationship, as we see it right now, to be the way it is. Yeah, she may like me, but she likes everybody. There's no reason why it needs to be me at her side. A lot of that kind of self-esteem, self-worth kind of stuff we've had theming wise with the main character. You don't want Kunigisa to love you, you want her to choose you, right? Okay, so love would be emotional, that side of his personality, right? Something he doesn't value very much, versus choose you, which means I'm choosing you based on your skill set, based on what you can bring to the table in this kind of situation, right? Where he doesn't believe that she's doing that for those reasons, and he values that a lot if the rest of the show and his kind of backstory up to now have been any indicator. Kind of that immense inferiority complex, even down to his relationship with Kunigisa, questioning his worthiness in it all. Akane questions why Kunigisa. Why have you chosen her? Why has she chosen you? A partner like you generally won't choose a partner that is superior to them but less mature. Like, men won't do that. I think that's very true, right? So men, a little bit prideful, a little bit stubborn, potentially, right? They don't like to pick somebody clearly better, right? It's a tough one. I think this was truer a while ago, less than it is now. But there's some level where I understand this. You don't want to be one-upped in that relationship, kind of be the prize possession rather than being the one that drives it forward. Akane posits that the main character is potentially a masochist. He says, well, I was bullied in school. It's like, well, bullying and kind of leaving somebody alone, they're not the same thing. Rejection and abuse are not the same. Children torture liars and the weak, but avoid those that don't fit in. And I think those that don't fit in have the tendency to think that they don't fit in because they're some kind of genius, right? And maybe that's what the main character's done. That's kind of funny, right? You don't fit in. It doesn't mean you don't fit in because you're special, right? You just don't fit in. And you have to come to terms with just because of that doesn't make you some kind of protagonist figure. Just round pi down to 3. Seemed like the other 6, 7 fools had a similar experience. The .14 tragedy. I don't understand this. If somebody could give some clarity here, that'd be great. Geniuses are born not fitting in, but not all that don't fit in become geniuses. Kind of bringing up causation and correlation again. That's kind of clever. I like that. Akane has one final suggestion. If you want Kunigisa to choose you, I suggest taking her to bed. And the revelation at the end of the episode is, well, he already has done that. And he still feels not chosen. He still feels this way. That she doesn't hold back though. You may be an introverted, gloomy, twisted, little ingrate, oblivious to adolescent rebellion and hormones, but you've still got it in you to do that much. To get it up and get going. Great. Actually, pretty good dialogue this episode. I've actually really enjoyed this conversation upon rewatch. And yeah, this is the most, I guess, predictive we get in the scene. Kind of the main character posits that same initial question back to Akane. Would you let somebody kill you? She is always ready to die. When it's time to die, then it's good to die. I, Sonayama Akane, have no complaints, no matter when, where, how, or who I shall be murdered. Very, 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 very interesting, right? Kind of an absolute trust in the overall system, of what has been going on in the world, right? And not wanting to kind of propagate that kind of life essence of it all. But yeah, that ends the scene, and it is clearly indicative of something maybe going to happen to her, right? That I can't help but feel like that's a little bit, there's red flags there. Those are like big death flags, you know. She's had her bath, her hair is cleaner, supposedly. I guess it is lighter. And yeah, she wants some praise as a result. And yeah, we're going to talk through the locked room here in a little bit as well. Hikari being kind of the audience surrogate in figuring it all out. So this comes from dinner. Kunigisa said, I've got it figured out, kind of, right? And then Hikari wanted to jump in and see if she'd figure out the locked mystery. She was curious herself. So yes, this kind of technique, it may be simple when reading it on a page, but the smell of blood, the presence of death, it drowns you, makes you unable to see the logical fallacy beneath your eyes. Again, I'll explain it once more for everybody in the audience. Just because earthquake happen does not mean that shelf fall over and paint spill everywhere, right? That's just the trick of the scene to make it seem like the killing would be impossible. The killer probably didn't even know about the phone call, or maybe they did. The killer would have needed to know that the paint was something that everybody else knew about, right? Again, maybe I'm just grasping at straws, but I still don't trust Shinya very much. Either way, he gets his tuning on here a little bit, and Kunigisa finds that pretty funny. So yeah, we're using our coin toss to explain it again. Just because I flip it and say that it's heads and it lands heads doesn't mean I'm a psychic, just means that I got lucky and there was a coincidence. This has been explained multiple times in the episode now as well, kind of the rooster calling, bringing in the sunset. That is not true. Two different things happening separately does not mean correlation, you know? I'm guessing that she took so many photos so she could kind of generate something like this, gives us a visual representation of the room and what the kind of crime scene looked like. I mean, yeah, that's probably the simplest way to look at it. Just because B happened and then A happened doesn't mean that B caused A to occur. I like this a lot as well. I'm just noticing this now. So we had Hikari kind of swing a weapon, kind of beheading the victim there, and then spreading the paint out in the scene that they've generated. Gives us, yeah, just a nice visual moment to complement the scene that is mainly dialogue. So, you know. And yes, Akane realized this, locked herself up to prevent the situation from escalating. She is very, very smart, apparently. We should keep this information that we have a secret so things, again, don't escalate. I get the feeling that they've already spread somehow, though. Cool, and then we have a question for Hikari. Kunigisa asks, why is Ilya here? This is a weird question. Like, why, as in historically why? Or why now? Or why have the cases been occurring? Or why all these other things, right? Yeah, immediately nervous, see the camera work there, kind of shaky. Like, I think her lack of answer already answers the question well enough. Chi-kun then finally gets back to us at the end of this scene. He found a connection. So Kanami and Akane ate together at a cafe in Chicago. Is this a one-off meeting? Or does it present a pattern where they actually somewhat friends? About 6 months ago, once they've done this, again, okay. This isn't exactly surprising. Kanami said that she hated Akane as a person. So was that hate built up over one day, or was it kind of started off, was the starting point here at this meeting at this cafe? The hatred began. Yeah, I don't really understand what that connection is. Okay, and then we dive into a pretty interesting scene here, I would say. Kind of, Kunigisa jumps into bed, main character's on the couch. Hey, you should come sleep in the same bed as me. I won't touch you, I promise. And he continues to say no until he is finally goaded into saying yes, probably thinking about Akane's words. Of course, he knows that sharing a bed does not mean simply sharing a bed, but he's already done the other thing in the past and it didn't change things. At least on his side, anyway. Like, he almost seems like the abuse victim here, when in reality, all he has to do is share, like, a massive bed with somebody that he's associated with, right? It's really not that much. Again, Kunigisa, sound asleep, doesn't think much of it. She's a little bit simple for all her complexity, right? She just kind of gets on with it. But, of course, our main character, eyes still open, thinking about some stuff, probably that conversation with Akane. This was an interesting little scene here, I guess I would say. Kind of indicative of a first meeting almost. The background and its kind of ratio to the rest of the foreground is very interesting as well. It's giving me Madoka a lot. Like you normally see like very heavy shadows of kind of industry and that kind of thing in your Madoka. And we hold on this scene for almost an uncomfortable level of time. I think it's quite well done. I like this. So he'd already taken her to bed, but it didn't change things. Would Akane have despised me for it? I don't know what he meant by this, though. Weird. Maybe I'm misreading this. Is he talking about this bed in the current tense and they hadn't slept together? I thought the implication was, especially with that scene that we saw of the two of them just meeting. Yeah, would she have despised me for it, and not with love in mind, but with destruction? What, the sleeping? Hey yo. Weird. If somebody could give me some kind of confirmation on this scene and what it was about, that'd be great. But Akane, there was no point to it all. So what am I supposed to do? Tell me. Yeah, as we just get this shot of her room, very quiet, nothing going on in there. Potentially another killing's taking place. I don't know, getting a little bit crack theory, but yeah, I think that's the end of the episode, right? Yeah. Very, very, very cool. So all in all, very, very interesting episode there. Kind of went to a million different places. We're solving the mystery very slowly. There's seemingly a lot of suspects still. We need to dive into that Yayoi stuff. We need to dive into some Ilya stuff. We need to talk with Sakaki Shinya again, if he was an accomplice potentially. We need to think that maybe somebody's a rat. We've given the information that Akane knew about the locked room and is doing this for certain reasons, right? Is that going to give somebody else some information to want to go and kill Akane potentially? Then emotionally, we've got all the stuff with main character, inferiority complex, Kunigisa, what's going on there? Yeah, and we're about halfway through, right? It's a 8-episode bagger, right? Yes, 8 episodes. Very, very, very cool. So yeah, looking forward to watching more next week. Maybe the 1, maybe the 2, we will see. Just my shield stuff before I leave. If you like the video, consider liking the video. If you like the video and you want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. Comment below anything you thought about the episode, anything I can do to improve my presentation. Comment below. I'm doing follow for follow on Twitter, so follow me on Twitter if you would like me to follow you back. And the Discord, join Discord, love Discord, 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 Discord. And yeah, see you next week for more Kubikiri Cycle. Rightio. Catch you guys later.